Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. So we've been talking about this for a while at this point. They're trying so hard, so desperately, to I guess manifest or speak into existence this notion that Donald Trump is weak. I think it's mostly a distraction or a deflection away from the fact that Joe Biden himself is quite weak at this moment. I guess it's the typical know you strategy, the I know you are, but what am I strategy. Joe Biden's not weak and politically damaged. No, that's Donald Trump. Just look at what Nikki Haley's saying. Look at the results in South Carolina. Donald Trump is damaged goods, right? Well, of course, yes, we know. We've been covering this nonsense for a while at this point. It's nothing new. I don't want to repeat the same thing over and over again, but also at the same part, I very much want to repeat this part. They tell you Trump is weak, but Trump just keeps on hitting brand new all-time highs. Folks, the Decision Desk 2024 election polling average just dropped. Essentially an election prediction from a very reputable source. And well, you guessed it, the Trump surge continues. It remains to be very, very real. The Democrat worst nightmare is currently materializing. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, friends, so here's Decision Desk HQ. I believe it's a Fox News affiliate. The platform's similar to Real Clear Politics or 538, but I think they do a better job than 538. As you guys can see here on the graphic, the title says it all. Donald Trump hits new high. Let's do the breakdown here in the most important states. This is a polling aggregate, by the way, finding the average across many different polls across the different states. In terms of national polling, Trump leads by 2.6 points ahead of Biden, but when you go to where it matters, that's where it starts to get real dismal for Democrats. The state of Georgia, Fannie Willis's playground, the place that Stacey Abrams supposedly won for the Democrats, the state that's supposedly going blue at an uncontrollable rate, seems to have shifted quite substantially. Trump leads in Georgia by 7.6 points in the aggregate. Trump supposedly also boasting a huge lead in the state of Nevada with a plus 6.2 lead. In Michigan, probably the most shocking of all, Donald Trump leads by 4.6. In Arizona, he leads by 3.7. In Pennsylvania, he leads by 3.6. And in Wisconsin, by 2.4. And of course, the markets are shifting like you can't even imagine. Polymarket's 2024 election odds now has Donald Trump 21 points ahead of Joe Biden in presidential victory betting odds. Damaged goods, they tell ya. Yeah, not so sure about that. In fact, I'd argue that it just keeps on getting better for the bad orange men. And I'm of course saying this so I can slowly segue to the second element of this video. And of course, the second part of this video is actually very similar to the first part. And that's yet again another announcement to all the leftoids out there that, yep, it just got even worse. What I've presented to you thus far isn't even the best part. You think Donald Trump with a +2 lead nationally is where it ends? But no, of course not at all. Let's not forget there's a third person in the race. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. continues to poll at historically high numbers for a third-party candidate. And that's another thing we kept hearing in the early days. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. running in this race is only more bad news for Donald J. Trump. There's more overlap with RFK Jr. voters and Trump voters than there are Biden and RFK voters. Mr. Kennedy being involved here as an independent candidate seals the deal for Joe Biden. Well, it certainly does, but not in the same way that leftoids told you. Once again, another leftist narrative falls completely apart. See, here's the thing. RFK Jr., reportedly, has now garnered enough signatures to get on the ballot in Arizona and Georgia. No big deal, just two of the most important swing states. Essentially, these two states and one other are going to decide who becomes president. Well, you'd expect Democrats to be cheering, right? RFK Jr. is on the ballot in the most important states that we need to win. Supposedly, RFK Jr. pulls votes away from the evil orange man, right? Well, that's what they told you maybe 6 or 7 months ago, but as we've been covering, it seems as though the exact opposite is true, so now RFK Jr. is gonna be on the ballot, and this is kind of the effect that he's having on the race right now. Here's a little clip from Decision Desk HQ's most recent video.
Also, interestingly, the only other presidential race since 1996 that has produced a third-party vote share above 2% was 2000, 3.8% in that election to be exact. And I don't think I need to remind Democrats what the 2000 and 2016 elections have in common. Perhaps that is why the panic over third-party candidates does seem to be more concentrated among Democrats than Republicans at this point. Donald Trump currently leads Joe Biden by 2.7% in our polling average. He holds 44.4% support on average. Joe Biden holds 41.7%. Those numbers represent each candidate's supposed share of the two-party head-to-head vote in this polling average. When looking at the average including RFK Jr., Trump's margin of lead increases to 4.1%, but his vote share drops down to 41.7%, down 2.7 points from his two-way race average support. Biden's vote share also drops, but by an even larger margin, down to 37.6%, a 4.1% decrease from his two-way share. Based on this data, we can currently estimate that RFK Jr. is drawing 2.7% of Trump supporters out of his camp and pulling 4.1% of support from Joe Biden.
Donald Trump's lead stretches even further with RFK Jr. on the ballot. In other words, cue the Democrat copium and panic. So you get the point. Hopefully you see the picture I'm painting. Donald Trump isn't weak. He's winning nationally, which is unprecedented, at least winning in the polls, whatever that means. And he's also leading in every single battleground state. Not only in individual polls, like the most recent Emerson poll, new polls in 7 battleground states show Trump leading Biden in every single one. I mean, just take a look. Not only in individual polls, but also in the aggregate, he's simply winning. He's winning nationally, he's winning in the most important states, and he's winning when RFK Jr. is on the ballot. Doesn't exactly seem unelectable to me. Trump also happens to be shattering records in the primary process. Meanwhile, Joe Biden isn't exactly doing so hot in the Democratic primary, which isn't even really an ongoing active contest.
This is what Joe Biden received. Again, forgive me, 1,141 votes. Dean Phillips, 54 votes. And uncommitted, make sure I get this right, 3,703 votes. So that's a wow. If you look at it this way, this is 23%. And this is 75%. And so this is just the city of Dearborn, but that is where the biggest pocket of the Muslim American, the Arab American population. This is a place President Biden carried big time in 2020. This is key to his chances of defeating Donald Trump in Michigan again.
Democrats are voting uncommitted at rates we've never seen before. Democrat strategist and activist Nina Turner even admits it. The state of Michigan roughly averages around 20,000 uncommitted votes in every Democrat presidential primary, but in 2024, there were over 100,000 uncommitted votes in the primary process. Nina Turner writes, again, not me, if that's not a message to this administration to wake up, then what is? I don't know. I guess I'm just hoping that Sleepy Joe remains sleepy, and in fact doesn't wake up to the fact that he is an absolute disaster, headed towards complete electoral annihilation. But I guess what it's telling us in a way is that Joe Biden isn't radical enough for the new radical left. Joe Biden is no longer Joe Biden, but rather Genocide Joe. Rashida Tlaib asked Democrats to vote uncommitted.
Right now, we feel completely neglected and just unseen by our government. If you want us to be louder, then come here and vote uncommitted.
And it seems as though that's exactly what they're doing. Democrats are in complete freefall as they claim the Republican Party is in disarray and Donald Trump is unelectable. But it seems as though that's not the case at all. Quite the contrary. Anyways, that's what I got for you. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.